Yo, what's poppin'? Where my folks at? Let's get into it, man. Got lots to talk about. Lots to talk about. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Where my folks at? Let's get it. Give it a few. What's up, everybody? Oh. Yo, yo, yo. Lenore, what's poppin', bro? BJ, what's up, man? 1200 reacts. What's good? Straight to it with the question. Do you think it's a possibility they pick up the Greek Freak? We gonna get into that. We gonna get into that. We gonna get into the Greek Freak for sure. BJ, I appreciate you for the support, man. Sorry for the wait. Your boy had to take a little break, man. Once the season was over, had to decompress a little bit. But I'm here. We here, man. We got a lot of news that dropped, a lot of information. So let's get into it, man. I appreciate y'all for being the first ones in here, showing love, man. That's what's up. Derek White, we gonna get into that. We gonna start in a little bit. I'm gonna give it a few more minutes, let some folks get up in here, and then we gonna start the show. Wolves are getting fried. What's the score? Post the current score for me right now. Yeah, man, that should have been the Warriors in the Western Conference Finals. The Wolves got away. The Wolves pulled a fast one. They didn't pull anything. They just got lucky. They got lucky. Steph pulled something. He pulled his hamstring, and that was basically it. I mean, sometimes it's as simple as that. The healthier team is usually gonna go the farthest. So, I mean, obviously you need the talent, you need the superstars, you need the defense, but for the most part, the team that's healthiest is more than likely gonna proceed forward and advance. 118 to 103. Oh yeah, that series is already over, bro. That's crazy. Yeah, it looks like OKC gonna win a chip. The semifinals against Denver, that was the real like Western Conference Finals. You could say that was the finals. So like once they got past Denver, from that point on, that was probably the toughest opponent they're gonna face on their road to a chip. Like this T Wolves team, it's not that good. They probably would have lost in five to the Warriors if Steph didn't get injured. So it's no surprise they're getting fried. They're not that good. And then who in the finals they gotta play either the Pacers or the Knicks. More than likely the Pacers. Yeah, OKC win a chip, bro. If they can stay healthy. If they stay healthy, they win a chip. What's up, man? All right, we 3.5 minutes up in here. Let's get into it. I mean, we did when Murray went down in Denver in 2022. We were just a healthier team that year. Yeah, sometimes it's as simple as that, man. And when your best players are in their mid to late 30s, like the Warriors have, the chances of finishing the season healthy, they go down. Older players get hurt. Older players pull pull muscles. They're more susceptible to injuries. So it's not obviously I'm not saying you can't win with older players, but you just have less margin for error. And playing extra games and tricking off games in the first round against the Rockets, having to play extra games, putting extra mileage on your older players, you get a situation where Steph pulls his hamstring in the first game. They were playing every other day for like 2 weeks. From the first round on, it was just madness. They were literally playing every other day. Steph's 37 years old, man. He's probably the best conditioned athlete in the world, or at least in terms of basketball. And even then, he's still 37 years old. Sometimes the body, even though he's in pinnacle shape, older body, wear and tear of the season, extra games. It's tough, man. It's tough. Don't sleep on the Pacers. I'm actually rooting for the Pacers to win a championship. I like Tyrese Halliburton. Should have been a Warrior. He wanted to come to the Warriors when during the draft process. He was hoping the Warriors drafted him. We didn't, obviously. But yeah, I mess with Halliburton. He's also a Niner fan. Bang bang Niner gang. Him and Brock Purdy, the Niners QB, him and Brock Purdy were classmates at Iowa State. So he's a huge Niner supporter. So I mess with the Pacers. I mess with Halliburton. So I hope they win. Let's see. Bree, what's up? I see you. Minnesota is sad. Warriors would have been more competitive against OKC. Warriors would have messed around and beat OKC. I mean, the Warriors played them close in the regular season, and none of those matchups included Jimmy Butler. I'm not saying that guarantees them the win because obviously, if the Warriors would have got past Minnesota, that would have been another round of wear and tear. Who's to say an injury, even let's say Steph doesn't get injured against Minnesota, who's to say he doesn't get injured against the T-Wolves? I mean, against OKC in the next round, like 5 games later. So we could play the woulda, shoulda, coulda all day, man. The Warriors just wasn't healthy enough to win this year. It is what it is. Jimmy find the basket with rifle scope if he had one, for real, for real. I'm not sure. Jimmy couldn't find a basket. Here's the thing about Jimmy. Before I get into like the main topics of the show, I know a lot of us or a lot of y'all got Jimmy Butler in y'all scopes right now. Y'all like, look, where's playoff Jimmy against the T-Wolves, all this stuff, yada yada yada. Here's what y'all gotta understand. The moment Steph went down, it made the T-Wolves defense, all their jobs on defense, just so easy. They had to put McDaniels, their best perimeter defender, their 6'10" wing. He had to guard Steph. The thing is, he couldn't guard Steph. Like, that was their best defender, and he was barbecue chicken against Steph. But so since he was guarding Steph, they had to put their second best wing defender on Jimmy Butler, which was what? Who do they have on him? Edwards. Edwards is a solid defender, but he's not no lockdown defender. His load offensively is so big, he's not going to give that crazy effort defensively every play from play to play. It was easy money for Jimmy Butler when McDaniels wasn't guarding him. But once Steph goes down, it's a domino effect. Now all of the T-Wolves defenders get to slot down and guard the Warriors' next options. So now, instead of McDaniels having to guard Steph and getting deep fried by Steph, now he's guarding Jimmy Butler. And now Jimmy Butler has a scorer on McDaniels instead of Edwards, and he has no spacing because Steph's not out there. So you're asking Jimmy Butler with zero spacing. The Warriors are running a double big lineup with Draymond and TJD out there. There's zero spacing. Gobert's camping the paint. He's sagging off Draymond, daring him to shoot. He's just camping the paint. So you're asking Jimmy Butler, you're giving him the ball and saying, all right, go give us 50. Go give us 40. There's no spacing. There's no one to kick out to. If he gets in the paint, he has McDaniels, 6'10" defender in the vicinity, contesting, and he has to finish over Gobert. Bro, come on. And then on top of that, he's injured. He was still compromised because of the pelvic contusion. So his burst wasn't there. His lift wasn't there. It was too much to ask, man. Like, obviously, I would have liked to see him empty the clip a little bit more in terms of shot attempts. Just get some up. Just get some up from the mid range. Just get him up. Just go out swinging. But he wasn't going to see playoff Jimmy under those circumstances. You wasn't. It was too much length. The Timberwolves were staying home on everybody. Like, they wasn't leaving no shooters. Even non-shooters, they weren't leaving them. Their GP2, they stayed glued. All the theoretical options for him to kick out to, they wasn't leaving him. So the T-Wolves was just saying, Jimmy Butler, you're going to have to go one-on-one against our best defender, Jaden McDaniels. And if you beat him, you got to finish over Rudy Gobert too. On top of that, he's compromised and he's 35 years old, and there's zero spacing. It's tough, man. It's tough. But yeah, I appreciate y'all for showing up, man. I know it was kind of a last minute announcement. I was yeah, man. But I appreciate y'all. Sup OG. Oh, I'm OG now? I'm OG? That's crazy. Man, how old is you, bro? What are you, like 18, 19, calling me OG? That's crazy. Y'all seen that? Y'all seen like the little categories with it's like big bro to unk to OG. I think OG was like folks that was like late 30s to like mid 40s, mid late 30s to mid 40s or something like that. I ain't OG yet, bro. I'm in the big bro category. So if you gonna call me something, bro, you can call me big bro or something. I'm nobody's OG. What's up, Lil Kenny? Too much. What's up, bro? Mellow Wyatt, what's good, bro? All right, man. Let's get into the show. Let's get into the main topics. Obviously, the Warriors season. They have a lot. The Warriors season and how they want it, and they have a lot to talk about. They have a lot of moves to consider, ways to improve the team. I think well, actually, first, let's get into some news. So, Moses Moody had surgery. He had a UCL surgery on his thumb. So that rap that we saw Moody with during the playoffs, that was actually a UCL tear, and he required surgery for it, but he played through it. So that pretty much explains why his shooting just fell off a cliff. I knew it was something, man. I knew it was something because his misses, it wasn't like he was just like the shots were just rimming out or just like normal misses. No, he was like, it was bricks, wide left, wide right, some air balls in there. I was like, yo, is he just scared? But even that didn't make sense because in the playoffs against the Mavs in 22, he played a pretty decent sized role against the Mavs. He got minutes against that Mavs team in the Western Conference Finals, and he didn't look scared. He was doing his thing. He was doing what he had to do. So it didn't really make sense that, oh, he's just scared. So I knew it was something. I mean, they obviously didn't announce the injury. They kept it hush hush until the season was over. But that pretty much explains why he couldn't hit nothing. The man he tore his UCL in his thumb on his shooting hand. So yeah, it's pretty hard to shoot when you have a tear in your shooting hand. So it is what it is, man. I think he should be ready for the beginning of next season. He just needs to rehab it and just rest it up a little bit. I don't think it should cut into his into his training camp and whatnot, but somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Let's see. He should be fine though, man. I think he should be fine. Other news. Oh yeah, Draymond made all defense first team. He probably should have won Depoy, but he gets the all defensive first team. That's now, I believe, his 5th all defensive first team in his career and his 9th all defense team total. So I think he's the 5th player in NBA history to have a one Depoy be in a 9X all defense award winner. So congrats to Draymond. And yeah, man. So I know he wanted that Depoy, but it is what it is, man. Let's see. So yeah, let's get into. There's a few quotes actually I wanted to touch on before we get into the offseason stuff. So Mike Dunleavy had a quote. He said, and this is just like a compacted version of the whole quote, but basically he said, we're good giving up whatever it takes to win. Translation, if the opportunity presents itself to improve the team, to make a bold move, they're going to do what they got to do. So, I mean, yeah, that's what you want to hear from your GM. He also said another quote, he also said, and this is me paraphrasing, he looks at Golden State's window with Steph, Jimmy, Draymond, and you could throw in Steve Kerr in there as 1 year. Because one of the reporters asked him, yo, these next 2 years, everybody's contracts line up. Steph his contract's up in 2 years. Draymond's contract is up in 2 years, as well as Jimmy. So I think the reporter was like, "Yo, 2 year window was like, is that the plan?" And then Mike Dunleavy was like, "Actually, I'm looking at it as a 1 year window, and then we'll see what happens after next season. If we got to pivot, we got to pivot." Basically, he's saying like, "Look, I'm giving these old dudes one season, next season, to win a championship. If things get ugly, they're probably going to make some moves to pivot and get out of some of these contracts and just go a different direction. It might not be an all-out rebuild because if Steph still wants to play, they're not going to go for like a straight-up rebuild with Steph still on the roster. So it might not be an all-out rebuild, but it'll be some type of resetting move to get some contracts off the books and still try to make playoffs and get like some revenue. It's like playoff game revenue or something. But it's looking like next year's the best shot at winning the championship. It's going to be Steph's age 38 season, Jimmy Butler's age 36 season, and Draymond's age 36 season. So this is it. This is the year. You have to nail this offseason. You gotta get some pieces in there that's gonna sufficiently complement these guys, these geezers, and give them a chance. Because there's no margin for error. You gotta try to keep them as healthy as possible, and in order to do that, you gotta get some more depth pieces that can take the load off. Obviously, last season's circumstances, we made the midseason trade. They were so behind they had to play the last like 2 months of the regular season playing catch up. Steph and Draymond and Jimmy couldn't rest on back-to-backs. They had to empty the gas tank pretty much and they still couldn't avoid the play-in. They were so far behind they still couldn't avoid the play-in, even though they had an opportunity to in the end. So you gotta better construct a roster to where you don't gotta play those guys as much, and you got more contributions on the bottom half of the roster. So we'll see. I see y'all got some trade suggestions out there. Trust me, we're going to get to all these trades, man. We're going to get to all of it. Yeah, I see. So, yeah, I guess the place to start, let's start with Jonathan Kuminga. Steve Kerr had an interesting quote, a very interesting quote. A few interesting quotes. It was a lot of stuff being said. So let's start with Steve Kerr. And this is me paraphrasing. Steve Kerr said, "It's hard for JK to fit next to Steph and Jimmy because he needs the ball in his hands to score and prove he can score. They've been trying to get him to play like Shawn Marion." So basically, Steve Kerr saying, look, Steph Curry's a superstar, best player on our team by far, greatest player in franchise history, top 3 player of all time. The ball's in his hands. And then we got Jimmy, who Steve Kerr quotes as calling him a sneaky superstar. Just to give you some context of how highly Steve Kerr thinks of Jimmy. So those dudes are gonna have the ball in their hands. So then you got Kuminga, who Steve Kerr just basically blatantly just said he needs the ball in his hands to be effective. That's basically what he's saying. He's like, look, Kuminga needs the ball, but we got 2 stars / superstars ahead of him in the pecking order. His offensive game isn't refined enough to just take away touches from Steph and Jimmy to allow him to explore his offensive game at their expense. They can't do that. So Steve Kerr has been trying to morph Kuminga basically into a Shawn Marion clone. Now, for those of y'all who are too young to remember who Shawn Marion was, some of y'all might have seen the old man version of him when he was on the Mavs. When the Mavs won in 2011, he was basically just like an older role player wing. Shawn Marion is a really good player. He's a really good player. Same, pretty similar measurements to Kuminga. 6'7" wing, built, 225, long arms, great athlete. Pretty, similar builds. But outside of their builds, their mindset and play styles are pretty different. Sean Marion wasn't the type to try to go get 30 or whatnot. He was more so, when he was at his best, he was more so an opportunistic scorer. He was getting off the backboard, offensive rebounds. He would crash the boards. He was a menace on offensive glass. He could knock down some corner. His jumper looked a little weird. It was probably Sean Marion has probably one of the weirdest jumpers in NBA history. I mean, you got Bill Cartwright back on the Bulls. He had that crazy load up jumper. That thing was crazy. He was knocking down that midi though. He was cash money with that mid range shot. If Draymond had Bill Cartwright's mid range shot, that would be a game changer. By the way, crazy. And then you got Sean Marion, who if y'all never seen Sean Marion shoot a basketball, just after this stream, just go look up Sean Marion jumpers or something. It's hilarious, but it goes in. He's not a volume shooter, He's an opportunistic shooter, but if you leave him wide open, he can make you pay. You don't want to leave him wide open. And then Sean Marion was obviously a great athlete, so open court, fast breaks. He'd get buckets from there. He would hang out around a dunker spot for the little dump off passes, and he'd go up strong in the paint and just be a benefactor, He would basically get all of his points throughout the flow of the offense or being set up by somebody else. And the man, he was a great player. And Steve Kerr also gave another comp. He said Aaron Gordon on the Magic before he got traded to Denver. Aaron Gordon, when he first came into the league, when he got drafted, he was kind of a similar mindset as JK of trying to assert himself as like a scorer, this big wing that can score. Aaron Gordon, similar measurements as well. He's 6'8", like 235, something like that. He's a little bigger than Kuminga, but similar enough measurements. Freak athlete. What is it, a 2-time dunk contest champion or something? Or how many times did Aaron Gordon win a dunk contest? I think he got robbed. Well, not robbed, but he lost to Zach LaVine a few times. But a very worthy dunk contest winner. Like, he's a great athlete. Kuminga's comparable in that sense. When Aaron Gordon was on the Magic, he tried to be that scorer, that go-to scorer. It just wasn't really his game. He wasn't efficient. The Magic were buns with him trying to be one of their top options offensively. His jumper wasn't really there. He has some finishing ability, but his dribble package getting to the rim wasn't really refined. He could pass a little bit, but him handling the ball too much led to turnovers. He was more so of a complimentary passer versus like put the ball in my hands and let me just run pick and roll and just set dudes up. Like, he wasn't that kind of guy, but he was a smart passer. So, similar, none. Oh yeah, he don't have any, huh? That's crazy. Yeah, Aaron Gordon got robbed a few times. I remember he did didn't he do like a rap song, he did like a diss track or something. He did something. I remember now. He got robbed every time. That was crazy. But he got robbed 3 times. Yeah, I think that's why he said he retired. He ain't doing a dunk contest no more. But yeah, there's similarities between Jonathan Kuminga and Aaron Gordon on the Magic. So then fast forward, I forgot how many years into Aaron Gordon's career before he got traded to the Nuggets. So Aaron Gordon had this time in his career, his first, let's say 4 years of his career, where he tried to explore his game as his go-to option, what he envisioned himself as. Didn't work. His offensive game didn't develop enough for him to be a serious option, top option on a serious team. Maybe on like a lottery team that's buns. All right, you get up like 20 shots, you're not gonna win anything. But anyways, he had those years to basically come to his own, to see it for himself. It's like, all right, the scoring, like, I can still score opportunistically, but being like a go-to option, that's not where I'm gonna make my money. The best version of Aaron Gordon, where he's at the pinnacle of his value for a team, especially a team that's trying to win a championship, is this version of him on the Nuggets, where he's not a first option, he's not even a second option, he's not even a third option. He's like the fourth option. So, but he's their best defender. He's like a rebounding, garbage hustle player. He brings some toughness, complimentary passing, play finisher around a dunker spot. He's now developed a 3-point shot. It's taken him like 7, 8, 9 years, not 9, but like 7-ish years to develop like an acceptable corner 3 ball, and be a threat. So now is where teams can't really leave him in the corners no more. Maybe like 3 years ago they could do that, but now leaving Aaron Gordon wide open in the corner, he'll make you pay. So you can see the type of players that Steve Kerr desperately wants Kuminga to more so model his game after. Aaron Gordon and Shawn Marion. And if Kuminga embraced that role, if he embraced that mindset of, look, I could make a lot of money in this league if I embrace, number one, defense first, number two, rebounding machine, just earn extra possessions for my team, defensive demon, slasher, hang around a dunker spot, play finisher. And then once you do all those things and you're playing hard, your team will see that you're playing hard. They will reward you with some looks. Like Aaron Gordon does all the garbage man stuff, and he gets his opportunities where the Nuggets just give him the ball in the post, like, all right, go get a bucket, and he gets rewarded. But you have to play hard and do all these things and earn the respect to get that leeway. You can't just check into the game, and as soon as you get the ball, this is before the Timberwolves series. This is more so when Steve Kerr was like mad at Kuminga for not playing the right way. Kuminga would check into the game, and the first thing on his mind is, I got to get mine. And he's over here telling dudes to clear out. He's trying to go one-on-one in a post. He's throwing bad shots. He's trying to like foul bait the foul calling coming. And Steve Kerr's like, bro, you checking in the game. You're waving off Steph. You're not rebounding. You got one board in like 25 minutes. You're missing cutters. You're not passing the ball. You're like, that's not what they want. Versus if you just sit Kuminga down and you make him understand, look what Aaron Gordon's doing for the Nuggets. Look at his last 2 contracts, what he's getting paid. And that's him as an older player, by the way. You're only 22 years old. If you embrace this now, at your age, you're going to get paid bank. You're going to cash out. You're going to get paid so much money. Those players are so hard. How many teams around the league needs an Aaron Gordon? A 6'8" big power wing. That's a great defender on ball. He does a lot of the big man stuff in the paint. He's boxing out. He's grabbing boards. He's an elite play finisher in terms of like catching lobs, slashing, getting downhill, just playing a little bit of bully ball on the boards. He can hit the corner 3. What did he shoot, like 40% from 3 this year? Something like that, something crazy. It's like Kuminga, if you do all these things, bro, you're going to get paid. And then as the years go on, you're putting in your work in off seasons. You're refining your offensive game. You're gonna ease into more of an offensive role, especially as Steph gets older. Steph's 37 years old. As Steph gets older, Steph gets to 38, to 39, and then you're coming in and you're 23, now you're 24. You're getting more and more responsibility, bro. The offense is gonna come. Just do all the garbage man stuff right now and score opportunistically. By the way, if he does the opportunistic scoring, he's still going to average like 15, 16, 17 points. If Kuminga just runs the court hard, hangs around a dunker spot, play finisher, refines his corner 3 game, all this stuff, go attack the offensive glass, get some tip-ins, get a few putbacks a game. Bro, he's sleepwalking into 15 points. Easy. and then you add him being a lockdown offender hypothetically, and then a rebounding demon, bro, you're getting paid so much money. So that's what Steve Kerr was coming from with that comparison. Um, this is another quote from Steve Kerr, by the way, a longer of a quote. This one was more word for word for more context. So Steve Kerr says Jonathan Kuminga is not the type of player he would play heavy minutes at the moment if he wants to win games. Let me say that again before I get to the quote. Steve Kerr says Jonathan Kuminga is not the type of player he will play heavy minutes at the moment if he wants to win games. Here's a quote. It's a tricky one because Jonathan obviously is gifted and wants to play a bigger role and wants to play more. And for me, I've been asked to win. Right now, he's not a guy who I can say I'm going to play 38 minutes. With the roster that we have, Steph, Jimmy, and Draymond, and put the puzzle together that way and expect to win. I'm just like, I had to reread it in my head like out loud. I'm just like, man, that sounds kind of crazy that he said that. Man, that's crazy. So Steve Kerr's basically saying he don't think Kuminga's a winning player in the context of what he wants to do on this team with this personnel. He doesn't think that's a winning formula. He said if he really wants to win a game, like if it's a do or die game, his mindset is in order for them to have the best opportunity to win that game, he's not thinking of playing Kuminga heavy minutes. He's trying to minimize his minutes. This is the coach saying this, bro. This is the coach saying this. That's a pretty crazy quote, to be honest with you. If I was Kuminga's agent, I'm like, hey, man, that's kind of crazy, bro. Man. Let me see what some of y'all are saying real quick. What's up, Berserk? I see you, bro. Berserk said, I did like Kerr's comp of wanting JK to be like AG, but AG wasn't the type of player who he is currently on the Nuggets. It took him like 6+ years for him to finally adopt that role. Yeah. He didn't become that player until he had like four or 5 years in Orlando to basically realize, all right, you're not that guy offensively, and do more of like the dirty work stuff to earn your value. But once he realized that, I mean, it completely transformed his game. And on top of that, he also developed more. He became more of like a more of a smarter player in terms of how to play a complementary role. His shooting improved. So it was development, and also it was a mindset change. So yeah, it took Gordon 6 years to be that player. Yeah, I get it. But this is what I'm trying to tell y'all what Steve Kerr's mindset is. Kerr wants Kuminga to play like Iggy, which is hard to because Iggy's IQ is high as F. Yeah, Kuminga will never be Iggy. He's a completely different player. Like Iggy is literally like a point forward. His mindset is to pass the ball and get other dudes set up. Completely different players. Like that's not even a comp I don't think Steve Kerr's ever try to make that comp to Iguodala because he knows that's not who Kuminga is. That's no disrespect to Kuminga. Iggy's a Hall of Famer. I think he's gonna make the Hall of Fame. I would put him in there. But let's say he's a borderline Hall of Famer, and he's that because of number one, his IQ, his defense, and just being like the ultimate complementary championship piece. Kuminga's more so of an on-ball scoring type piece. Completely different players. What do you think about picking up Goga? We're going to get to that, bro. We're going to get to that. Kerr is one-dimensional. He depends on the system too much. Curry is 37. We got to change a little bit. Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. I'm not a huge fan of how much Steph runs around the court every game. I know Steph has the freedom to do whatever he wants. But I just think as he's getting older, this is his first time he's had a hamstring injury in his career. It's no coincidence that he's 37 years old when it first happens. So I just think from this point going forward, he might be more susceptible to hamstrings, calves, and all these other assortment of like soft tissue injuries. So I just think, and I'm just a random guy on YouTube, I'm not a coach. Obviously, I'm just a random guy on YouTube with an opinion. I'm a fan of the team like everybody else. I think it would probably be best to adjust the offense a little bit, rein in the Kerr system a little bit, so that Curry doesn't have to run so much per game as he gets older. That's just my opinion. So, what do I know? Nah, Kuminga, go play for a coach that believes in you. I'll tell you right now, Kuminga wants out of here. Kuminga, he kind of kept it coy during his end of season presser, but I'm telling you right now, Kuminga wants to get as far away from Kerr as possible. As far away from Kerr as possible. Because in Kuminga's mind, bro, if you ask Kuminga who he thinks he is, so you know how Kerr envisions this Sean Marion, Aaron Gordon archetype. If you ask Kuminga who he envisions himself as, he thinks he's like T-Mac, like Tracy McGrady. Like that's how Kuminga wants to play. He wants to be Tracy McGrady. Like this, that's just not who he is. That's just not who he is. So it's gonna have to, like, it's on both sides. They gotta kind of rein it in a little bit. Like Steve Kerr, I think Steve Kerr was too harsh on Kuminga. I think he went overboard with the punishments and teaching him a lesson and benching him for as long as he did. I think that wasn't the right way to go about things because you can very easily lose a player. And it didn't seem like he lost Kuminga when he was called upon in a T-Wolf series. But you could very easily lose a player doing that. So I think Kerr was in the wrong to an extent. I also think Kuminga's in the wrong to an extent. Kuminga was at times playing super thirsty. We can all sit here and say, oh, he needs a coach that believes in him. He needs a coach that empowers him more. And all that's true. Steve Kerr should have more faith in Kuminga. But at the same time, Kuminga was definitely playing super thirsty at times. I seen it with my own eyes. The reason he got benched, reportedly, was because he was waving off Steph. Bro, who waves off Steph? That's insane. And I've seen it myself. It's not like that's just a quote floating around with no proof. I've seen it. Kuminga, I seen Curry running around the screen off ball. Kuminga has the ball up top key, dribbling. He's waiting for the play, but you could tell in his mind he really doesn't want to run a play. He's just kind of going through the motions. So then Curry would come up, he'll get free, he'll come up and call for the ball, and then Kuminga would just look at him and then just get into his bag and then just starts attacking his guy off the dribble. And then he'll force the drive, he gets stripped, turnover, fast break other side, and then you just see Curry just put his head down like, and it's situations like that where it's like, all right, bro, come on, bro. Obviously we want you to be aggressive, but come on, bro. We can't be doing that. Yeah, Kobe. He wants to be like Kobe. Kobe and T-Mac were very similar players. Very, very similar players. I only say T-Mac because he was a little bit more of Kuminga's body type. T-Mac was like 6'8", like 225. It's kind of where Kuminga's at. Kobe was like 6'6", like 205, I think he was listed at in his career, 205, 210 or something like that. But yeah, like Kuminga looked up to Kobe. He said back when he was living in Congo as a kid, when he would go to like the cafe, he would like look up Kobe highlights and play like Kobe. I get it. Kobe, T-Mac, that's the archetype of player that he sees himself as. You know what I'm saying? So it's tough, man. It's tough. Bro, there is no way with all the veterans that Kerr has, he was acting alone. The veterans are not trying to play with Jonathan. I think so. Obviously, Draymond was it was times the last few seasons where Draymond was hyping up Kuminga like, yo, he's a superstar. If he does these few things, he's a superstar. putting a battery in his back, giving him confidence, which is great. You want to see that from a vet. But I think as the season was coming down this year and things were getting more tight, margin for error kept getting thinner and thinner, and they were dropping games. The type of the stuff he was pulling was getting more. Their patience for that, the veterans, Curry, Draymond, you could tell that patience was starting to get a little thin. And yeah, Steve Kerr, he probably asked Curry for his blessing, asked Draymond, like, what do you guys see in terms of like how we're gonna win these games? Like, what do you guys see? And he probably got their blessing that Kuminga probably should play less. So also it's very telling. I forgot which game it was, but there was a game late in the season where the Warrior it was late in the game and Kuminga was on the court and the Warriors needed a key stop. The Warriors needed a key stop. And Steph looked over at the bench and it was like, yo, get Guy Santos in the game. Give me Guy. Curry literally subbed in Guy for Steve Kerr. He said, yo, Guy, come in the game. Guy hopped up off the bench. And then Kerr was like, yeah, Guy, come on. Like if Steph, you got Steph making subs. He was like, yo, I want Guy. Get Guy in the game. We're trying to get a stop. Who did Guy sub in for? Jonathan Kuminga. So that's very telling. Now you can say that's a one-off game, situational, but the fact that Steph Curry, who has no agendas, by the way, he's just trying to win the goddamn game. He has zero agendas. He's like, look, I'm trying to win this game. He's looking at the bench. He's like, yo, give me Guy. Give me Guy, and let's win this game. I don't care about feelings. I don't care about politics. None of that. He made the sub himself. So that's just one small example. And there's probably other situations like that behind the scenes that we're never going to see or hear about, where there was some politicking behind the scenes. So there's no doubt in my mind Steph was definitely politicking with the coaching staff, with Steve Kerr, with Draymond, about what's best for the team. But yeah. So let me get into this other quote. Oh yeah, so if you want y'all want me to read the full quote for the Steve Kerr, Shawn Marion comparison. So this is a full quote for context. And if you're just now getting in here, this is the quote that I mentioned earlier. Steve Kerr thinks Jonathan Kuminga needs to be a Shawn Marion type guy, comparing his situation to Aaron Gordon in Orlando. Here's a quote. I've always felt like the type of player JK needs to be. I've mentioned this in the past. Shawn Marion is a guy who jumps out. And I've talked about this JK's rookie year. You know, with his athleticism, running the floor, putting pressure on the rim, offensive rebounds, getting in the dunker spot, the drop-off pass, he's really built for. Oh, I'm sorry. The drop-off pass from drivers, going up and dunking and guarding everybody on the other end. To me, that's what he's really built for. And we've really pushed him in that direction. And I think sometimes with young players, there's a process. Aaron Gordon's a good example. He spent years in Orlando where he really wanted to be the scorer and a lead guy and has some success, like JK has. But maybe didn't really find his role, find himself until later. So that's the full quote. And I believe Steve Kerr said that on Tim Kawakami's podcast, which came out, I think it was today or yesterday. So it was a recent quote. This thing was fresh. So I know JK's agent is looking at that. They're just like, man, we ain't trying to hear this bull no more, bro. I'm telling you right now, the moment another team gives Kuminga an offer sheet, he's signing that immediately. Immediately. If the contract is anywhere close to what he wants, he's trying to get up out of here. Jeffrey, what's up, bro? Jeffrey said Jimmy's teams have always had shooters around him. The Warriors' only shooter is Steph. Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, when people try to say, well, where's playoff Jimmy against the T-Wolves? First of all, on those Miami Heat teams, it was spacing all over the court. They had Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, Max Strus, Gabe Vincent back when he could shoot. They had Kevin Love. It was Caleb Martin was on a heater that one year where he couldn't miss anything. They had all these, like, obviously those players, you know, there's some G League players in there. There's like some old players. There's like some role players. They're not amazing players, but they can all shoot. You can't leave none of those dudes open. So when Jimmy is turning to playoff Jimmy, and he's literally just dropping 40-point games and doing all this stuff, look at the court. Look how spread the floor was. There's shooters all over the court. You couldn't help. So Jimmy got to go one-on-one, and he was just cooking. The help defender couldn't come. If you come, Jimmy's going to make the pass, and it's a wide-open shooter in the corner. He was surrounded by shooters. And you fast forward to this series, number one, Jimmy's like 5 years older. He's 35 years old. Number two, where's the spacing without Steph? If you take Steph off this team, where is the spacing, bro? There is no spacing. You got Buddy Hield out there, and then their second best shooter, I kid you not, is Draymond Green. The Warriors were literally running plays for Draymond Green, bro. For Draymond Green. I seen it. They were running plays to get Draymond Green open for a three. They did it against the T-Wolves because they were so down bad for offense. They were like, yo, we gotta get a three up. Yo, Draymond. Steve Kerr called Draymond's number. Draymond came off a screen, and he shot a three. And I give him credit, he made the shot. Draymond made the three. That was the play that was called for him to get a three. He shot it and he made it. But the bigger issue with that is they're calling plays to get Draymond Green over for a three. And you want Jimmy to transform in a playoff Jimmy and then just go for 40, go for 50 against a set defense. That's against Jaden McDaniels, who's an elite defender, and then you got Rudy Gobert in the paint camping. Come on, bro. We got to be realistic, man. We got to be realistic. Yo, my boy Matt, I see you, brother. Thank you for the donation. I appreciate you, bro. Waving off Steph is insane. He's lucky Steph is a nice guy. Brown would have had that man hooping in Pelican Bay first thing in the morning. Nah, yeah, man. That's the difference between like Steph and LeBron, bro. If you wave off LeBron, bro, your bag is packed the next morning, bro. You're gone. He's trading your ass at the trade deadline. You're gone. This dude LeBron is so cold. He traded his best friend D Wade, bro. Coldest man in the world, man. This dude LeBron, dude, back on the Cavs. When D Wade left the Heat, I guess they didn't give him the contract he wanted. LeBron convinced him to come to the Cavs, right? So, Wade was having like a down season. He was old at this point. Like, he was washed. I get it. But this dude LeBron is so heartless, so cold-blooded. He made the team trade his best friend. Not just his best hoop buddy, his best friend. That man's a cold piece of work, bro. Steph ain't like that. Steph ain't gonna do that, bro. And then also, back when LeBron was in Miami still, right before he left, when they got blasted by the Spurs. You'll love this story, Matt. Back when they got blasted by the Spurs, right before he ran back to Cleveland. This dude LeBron is so cold, right? He signed up for this big three super teams with D Wade and Bosh. The moment he saw D Wade's knees get a little creaky, the moment he saw his best friend, the dude that he came here with, the one he's been at war with, the moment he saw them knees start to break down a little bit, LeBron was gone. That man packed his bags and left. He was out of there, bro, so quick. He just Goku, just instant transmission, just disappeared, bro. He was out of there. He's a cold piece of work, man. That boy LeBron don't give a damn. Steph ain't like that, bro. Steph is loyal. He gonna ride it out to the end. So, yo, what's up, Christian? I see you, bro. Christian said, with our star players getting older and we get extended, and we just extended Jimmy for a couple years, how should we respond in the offseason? Our spending wiggle room is tough to manage too. They gotta nail their offseason in terms of the contracts they have available to offer. They gotta nail all of them. Similar to the 2022 season, where they had basically the perfect offseason for what their budget allowed. They found Otto Porter Jr. for the vest minimum. Everybody was clowning the Warriors because they thought Otto Porter was washed. He had the back injuries. They clowned the Warriors. They signed Otto Porter Jr. for the vest minimum. He literally became like the perfect role player. A 6'8" big wing that could play the 3, the 4, or the 5. He could rebound. He could knock down shots at a 38% clip. He was a good passer within the offense, good ball mover, good positional defender. He had length. He had like a 7'2" wingspan. He was extremely smart. He never turned the ball over. He could hit opportunistic big shots. He was just the perfect role player. So they find him. They find Bielisa for a vest minimum. Obviously, he didn't contribute as much as Otto, but he was an important piece. He was giving a minutes in the finals against the Celtics. He was making big shots. He was making big plays. 6'10" stretch big that can handle the ball. He has a lot of experience. He was an MVP back in Europe. So he's been playing. He was at that point when the Warriors got him. I think he was like 20, 28, 29. But he's been in the league forever, playing overseas forever. He had a lot of experience. Older guy. The whole league clowned the Warriors for that one too. They're like, oh, Bielisa's trash. He's buns. And outside of his Warriors stint, he was a little trash. So I mean, it is what it is. And then they found GB2. They got GB2 from the G League, and he turned into an all defensive level defender. He's a lockdown defender in an integral piece. So that's 3 signings, 3 moves that they made that for the bargains, for the low, that completely transformed their roster. And that's and having those perfect role players was one of the reasons why Steph Curry won a championship with Andrew Wiggins as a second option. Andrew Wiggins. Shout out to Andrew Wiggins, but how many players are winning a championship with their second best offensive player being Andrew Wiggins? I don't know, man. I don't know. Let's see. What y'all talking about up in here? I appreciate y'all questions, by the way. Lucky, I see you, bro. Jeffrey said if Bron smells a chip, best believe Bron needs hitting the ground quick. Yeah, man. Bron traded the entire team that one year. Bro, he traded D Wade, he traded D Rose, Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder. Bro, he got half the team out of there, bro. He was like, all right, y'all dudes ain't hooping, y'all washed. I mean, a lot of those players were a little cooked, but bro, he's heartless. He didn't give a damn. He didn't give a damn. Pels trade AD to Lakers and get number 1 pick. Same with Mavs this year. Yeah, the lottery's rigged, bro. This year basically proved to me the lottery's rigged, man. Like it is like the proof's in the pudding, man. The league gifted the Mavs number 1 pick because they gave Luka to the Lakers. So the big market gets their superstar in Luka with LeBron's 40. So of course the Lakers got to have their next superstar. And since the Mavs were dumb enough to gift the Lakers Luka, they're like, you know what, we'll throw y'all a bone. We'll give y'all Cooper Flag, and everything's all good. So that was crazy. Wouldn't you say Poole was maybe their second best for the 22 season? Wiggins was needed in the playoffs, but still. I mean, yeah, Poole was like, you could say Poole was probably a more better scorer. But since Poole was coming off the bench, and then his defense, there was certain situations where he couldn't get on the court as much because of his defense. You can count on Wiggins. You could pencil in Wiggins in that playoff run to play 35 to 40 minutes a game. With Poole, I know against the Celtics for sure, he didn't. His minutes, I can't remember how many minutes specifically he played. It was probably some games he played 20, some games he played 15. Whatever the game called for. So you can say during a regular season, Poole is a second option for sure. For sure during a regular season. Poole will average 20 points a game. So during a regular season, yeah, Poole is a second option. But in the playoffs, since his minutes were so erratic, coming off the bench and all that stuff, it's more so, even if he was probably a better scorer than Wiggins, the fact that you can count on Wiggins to be out there for 35, 40 minutes is all right, Wiggins, you're basically the second option. And if Poole's out there with Wiggins, yeah, okay, maybe they'll call the play for Poole or let Poole cook. But I just think, even if you want to reframe it differently and say, all right, the Warriors won a chip with Wiggins being their second best contributor. That's still a crazy feat by Steph. LeBron ain't doing that. If LeBron looked at his lineup and he saw Andrew Wiggins as his guy, that's yo, you're going to war. You're trying to win a championship. Andrew Wiggins is your guy. Go win a chip. LeBron is packing his dude's bags by tomorrow, bro. LeGM is on the phone immediately. He's like, yo, get Wiggins out of here. I got to get somebody else in here. I got to stack the deck. I got to get another superstar up in here. This ain't happening, bro. Steph is like, you know what? Let's rock out. Yo, Wiggs, let's get it. He won a chip. Damn, he averaged 20 minutes a game compared to Wiggins' 40 for the finals in 22. Yeah, that was kind of like what I was. That's what I was implying. So his minutes was definitely like erratic. So it was hard to pencil him in as your second option when he's playing like 20 minutes a game. It was some games he was probably playing like 15 because if he was getting cooked defensively, they were just like, all right, we gotta play GB2 more. And so with GB2 and Poole, they were kind of competing for minutes. So if it was a game or a series that called for more defense, they would lean on GB2 more. It was games where GB2 was playing like 25 minutes, and those minutes are coming at Poole's expense. So Poole would play less. But with Wiggins, since he's a two-way player, he was out there for 35, 40 minutes every night. Poole held us down versus Memphis. Yeah, Poole was cooking versus Memphis and versus the Nuggets. Shout out to Poole, man. By the way, Jordan Poole would be a great scorer for this current iteration of the Warriors. But financially, it just can't happen. It's just not realistic. Poole's making $30 million now. Back when Poole was contributing for the Warriors, he was on a rookie contract still, getting paid like $4 million. Now he's getting paid $30 million. He's getting I wouldn't say properly paid. He's probably a little overpaid still, but not by that much. Like if Poole's making $30 million, he's probably like a $25 million player. So he's getting overpaid a little bit, but it is what it is. Yo, Holly, do you think we could trade for Giannis? Do I want to get to the Giannis convo right now? All right, All right. Let's get to Giannis, man. Well, actually, hold on. Before that, I did want to kind of finish on Kuminga. So Kuminga's a restrictor. We're going to get to the Giannis. Trust me, y'all. We're going to talk about Giannis. So Kuminga's a restricted free agent. So the Warriors can't let him leave for nothing. They can't let him walk for nothing. They got to get something back for him. So if it's a situation where Kuminga signs with a different team on offer sheet, and the Warriors they have to match it. They can't let him walk. You can't let an asset walk. I don't care how much you don't want to be here. The Warriors can't let a former lottery pick just walk out the door. 6'7" wing, that's athletic, top 1% athlete. You either got to retain him and trade him later, or assign and trade him in the offseason and get something back immediately. So I saw the name Cam Johnson thrown out there. How would y'all feel about Cam Johnson for Jonathan Kuminga? Let's say Kuminga wants out. The Warriors agree is probably best for both sides. Would you be okay with trading Kuminga for Cam Johnson? So this is a situation where the player wants out. He doesn't want to be here. But instead of losing him for nothing, you're getting compensated with Cam Johnson. How would y'all feel about that? Put it in the chat right now. I want everybody to vote yes or no. Let's see what y'all talking about. I'm seeing some yeses, some probablys. Do I think Cam Johnson is better than JK? I think from a talent perspective, no. I think Kuminga's more talented. I think Kuminga has more upside because Cam Johnson's 28. He is what he is as a player. He's not going to improve. This is probably his prime. I mean, this is his prime. Age 28, he's definitely in his prime. So Cam Johnson's not going to improve. Kuminga's 22, so you can pretty much pencil in the fact that this is not the best Kuminga's going to be. He's going to get better. So if you look at 28-year-old Cam Johnson versus 22-year-old Jonathan Kuminga, I think Cam Johnson is probably a more useful player in terms of his archetype for what the Warriors want and need around the stars they have. As I explained earlier, for those that was in here, I read Steve Kerr's quote, how he basically explained, you got Steph and Jimmy. Those are two players that need the ball. Those are two stars. Kuminga's also an on-ball player who needs the ball in his hands to be effective, or for, in his opinion, how he thinks he can be effective. Cam Johnson's an off-ball player. He's one of the best shooters in the league. He's a 6'8 sniper. Straight sniper, man. He's a better shooter than, he's at this point, I would say he's probably just like a straight up better shooter than Buddy Hield, and he's 4 inches taller. So you're getting a 6'8 sniper who could play next to, who could fit in perfectly next to Jimmy and Draymond. It just makes so much more lineups playable. You got Cam Johnson out there. You can't leave him. Teams will not leave him. Teams aren't gonna do the, oh, he's a face shooter, let's just leave him and double Steph and do all this nonsense. You can't leave Cam Johnson. He will shoot your face off. Like, for sure, he will shoot your face off. You can't leave him. So just that in and of itself, just having a shooter with size who could play the 4, who could play the 3, that you just can't leave. He can shoot over smaller dudes when they try to close out. Just having that legit threat at that position is extremely valuable for this Warriors roster construction, for what they have. They have a Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green. Those two dudes aren't going anywhere. They're not going anywhere. So you have to fit around those players and optimize them. If based off what Mike Dunleavy said, he basically said next season is the championship window. They're going all in next season. So if that's the thinking, who would help them win a championship next season? Who will give them a better chance at maximizing this roster construction next season? Cam Johnson, who's a 6'8 sniper, or Jonathan Kuminga, who's trying to still explore his offensive game, who's still a shaky shooter, who still needs the ball in his hands to be effective? Is Cam Johnson a better player than Kuminga in a vacuum? Possibly. I mean, Cam Johnson's no scrub, bro. How many points did he average this season? He ain't no scrub. He's a good player. He's also playing for like a terrible team, so it's kind of hard to quantify his, that type of value. But we also have seen him on the Suns on a good team, and he was a big time contributor. Cam Johnson averaged 19 points, shooting 47.5% from the field and 39% from 3, 89% from the free throw line. So he was hovering kind of sort of in a ballpark of a 50-40-90 season. And this is from a dude that's he's taking 7 threes a game, shooting 39%. He's taking 7 threes a game in 31.5 minutes, shooting 39%. He's averaged 19 points, 3.5 assists to 1.7 turnovers. So he's a pretty smart, complimentary ball mover. He just fits what the Warriors need more so than what Kuminga provides. He makes a lot more lineup combinations playable with the spacing. He doesn't need the ball. He can play off of Steph. He can play off of Jimmy in that ecosystem. You could run plays. All the plays that they used to run for Klay Thompson, they could basically brush off those plays in the playbook and run it for Cam Johnson. They could basically run it for Cam Johnson. Is Cam Johnson the same level of shooter as prime Klay? No, he's not. But he's a really good shooter, and he's more than capable of hitting some tough threes, some threes coming off of curls, coming off of screens, movement threes, relocation threes. He could hit every type of three, bro. Like, he's that guy in terms of like his repertoire in terms of a 3-point shooter. He could do that. So if you put him out there next to Steph, with Steph's attention and Jimmy Butler's attention, dude, Cam Johnson is gonna shoot teams' faces off, bro. That would be disgusting. So to the main point, do I think Cam Johnson's better than Kuminga? It's possible. I think Kuminga's more talented. I think 2 years from now, when Kuminga's 24 and Cam Johnson's 30, I think Kuminga will most definitely, without a doubt, be the better player. But in terms of this window and this timeline that the Warriors are on, Cam Johnson gives them a better chance to win a championship. So if Kuminga wants out and Cam Johnson's the returning piece, if I'm looking at this team from a lens of next year's our opportunity to win a chip before we pivot, and we are probably not going to sniff a championship for who knows how long, 10 years, 20 years, who knows. Some of these teams, bro, some of these teams around the league haven't sniffed a championship in 50 years. You never know, man. Once Steph Curry retires and we don't got a superstar, it's gonna look really different. So if the front office is telling you, yo, this is our opportunity. Steph's 37 years old, but he's still capable. This is our window. I'm maximizing that window. I'm maximizing that window. We could sneak in one more chip before this rebuild, this inevitable rebuild. We could sneak in one more, and push this dynasty to 5 rings. Get Steph his 5th. That would be, I don't care what happens after that point. Once Steph retires, tear it down, rebuild. Like, I'm gonna be here regardless. This is my squad, man. Like, let's just get one more chip with this core. Let's just squeeze this lemon with this core and get one more. Let's get Steph his 5th, and whatever happens after that, man, who cares, bro? Like, honestly, like, there's always gonna be this next prospect that they can draft, this next big athletic wing or whatever. Look, no shit on Kuminga, but him as a prospect, it's like he's not no generational prospect. If Kuminga's the cost to get the final piece to win one more ring, and that's the sacrifice you got to make, it is what it is, man. Once this era's over and you got to rebuild, they can find another Kuminga in the draft. Like, it's like, I'm not, and that's no shade to Kuminga. That's all respect, man. But it's just like we can't like we gotta maximize this era, which is next year or the next 2 years. And that's that, man. If Curry gets his 5th ring before LeBron in his era, LeBron gotta be questioned. Oh yeah, man. If Steph gets that 5th before LeBron, bro, LeBron fans are gonna be in shambles because they know the narratives and they know the storylines that's gonna come out of that, man. You tell me Steph wins 5 chips without switching teams, and LeBron, meanwhile, has team hopped how many times so far? 3 times. He team hopped to Miami, back to Cleveland, and then to the Lakers. So he team hopped 3 times, and he only got 4. And he been in the league for 20 years. And he had that team. People want to like make fun of Steph because he had KD for 2 to 3 years, 2.5 seasons. Bro, LeBron was playing next to Chris Bosh and D Wade. D Wade was a top 3 player at the time of that trade, or not the trade when LeBron went to Miami in 2011. D Wade was a top 3 player. D Wade at that point in time was the same caliber of player and respected around the league as KD was when he joined the Warriors. The only difference is D Wade won a chip before LeBron. KD didn't win nothing. So, and then you add in Chris Bosh, another Hall of Famer. Like, come on, bro. Folks try to give Steph so much bull and so much slander because he played with KD for 2.5 seasons. But LeBron played with LeBron played with D Wade, Chris Bosh, Anthony Davis, and now Luka Doncic. Come on, bro. Get out of here, man. What are we doing here? But yeah, back to all right, so free agency. So it looks like most of y'all are a yes on Cam Johnson. But what about some other names? What about the center position? We gon' center or Giannis? Which topic you want me to do next? Center position or Giannis? Y'all vote real quick. All right, let's do the center position. So first and foremost, a question we gotta ask: we gotta evaluate what the Warriors got at center right now currently. So to set the table, at center, the Warriors got obviously Draymond, who's not going anywhere, barring a trade for Giannis. We'll get to that later. But so you got Draymond, who, as far as we know, ain't going nowhere. Who's going to be 36 years old. Still our best player. Still our best center option, which is honestly kind of sad that 36-year-old Draymond's still our best center. It's kind of crazy. So you got Draymond in there. You got Kevon Looney, who's a free agent, who just came off a season making $8 million. Probably a little overpaid, but I wouldn't say by much. You know, he played a part. He got him to the regular season. It is what it is. And then they got TJD. Oh, well, they got TJD and Quinton Post. So let's start with Kevon Looney. Do I want Kevon Looney back on the Warriors? If it's for the vest minimum, yes. If they come to Looney in the offseason and they're like, look, bro, we got the vest minimum for you. You're not gonna play as much as you've been playing these past few seasons. We're gonna cut your minutes back. There might be days where you don't. There might be games where you don't even play at all, and you're just there. You're just a great locker room guy. And if we need you for an emergency situation, then you come in. But if they bring back Looney, here's the thing with Steve Kerr, man. Steve Kerr can't help himself. If you give Steve Kerr too many options, he doesn't do well with too many options. We saw in the beginning of the season when we were like 13, 14 players deep, and Steve Kerr had all these options. The man couldn't get the roster. He couldn't get the rotations right, man. Too much experimenting. Too much. He was riding the wrong players for too long. Kerr does better when his roster is simplified and you take away his options, bro. You take away his toys and don't let this man. You don't let this man have too much room for experimentation. Because if you give him Looney, I promise you, he will play Looney. So that's the thing. Like, Dunleavy has to have a conversation with Steve and Looney. And be like, look, bro, you're not playing as much this season. It is what it is. So if it was under those circumstances, I would like Looney back for the vets minimum. He's a culture guy. He's a locker room guy. He's been with the Warriors for 10 years. He's the perfect vet for young players. Push comes to shove. You know he's going to play hard. He's an Iron Man now. He never gets injured. So you can always count on him to be available at least. He has his limitations offensively and defensively at this point, but I wouldn't mind him as a vet minimum guy who might not play that much. You just have him at the end of the bench. You're paying him a few $1,000,000 to just be a vet. I would want Looney back. TJD. I've kind of cooled on TJD a little bit. After his rookie season, I was like, oh yeah, this is great. We got TJD is going to be like this solid key piece in our center rotation. You know, I'm not going to say high hopes, but I was very high on his rookie season and how he can build off that. Fast forward, his sophomore season wasn't that great. He wasn't good. He didn't improve at anything. And I'm sorry to say, I just don't think TJD's that good, bro. I just don't think he's that good. His athleticism wows Warriors fans because we're so starved of athletic centers that anybody that could jump, we're just like, yo, that's our guy. That's our guy. TJD could jump. He's athletic. You know, he can block shots. He can catch a lob. But overall, in terms of his skill set, his game, he's just not that good. He's a third-string center right now. He lost his spot to Quinton Post, rightfully so. I mean, Quinton Post came in and just snatched his rotation like Debo. Just snatched it. Snatched his chain, took his spot, and he's not better than Quinton Post. He's just not. The Warriors The Warriors started TJD the last, 4 games, or the last 3 games of the T-Wolves series. TJD did a whole lot of nothing. He didn't do anything. He was out there. He was eating minutes. He was kind of boxing out Rudy Gobert. He wasn't doing nothing, bro. He's just not. And with respect to TJD, they drafted him with the 55th pick in the draft. He was a late second round pick. Usually those guys don't even make the team. They get cut. They end up in either the G League or overseas, and that's just what it is. So the fact that he's good enough to stay on as a third string, he's already over accomplishing. He's outplaying his draft slot, is what I'm trying to say. So I think TJD's a good guy. He has a great attitude. He didn't play much. He wasn't pouting. He stayed ready when his time was called. He played hard, all that stuff, but just don't think he's that good. And if the opportunity came to upgrade his spot, I wouldn't hesitate. If he had to be thrown into a trade, like a bigger trade, and you had to include him, it is what it is. I'm definitely not against moving TJD for an upgrade. Would I want him back? If I can only bring back Looney or TJD, if it was only one or the other, that's a tough one. That's honestly a tough one. Because TJD got outplayed by Looney this year too. And Looney can't jump over a paperclip. And he still got outplayed. So that's kind of, I know TJD started against the T-Wolves, but that's more so because of the matchup where they just needed a live athletic body. But he wasn't doing nothing. So, yeah, man. And when you think about TJD in theory, he's athletic. He was a good rebounder in college. He was a good play finisher. The theory of TJD sounds great. But on the court, can he block shots? He can, but his reaction time is slow. Usually the guy's already up in the air and the ball is released before he's coming over to attempt to block the shot. And he'll slap the backboard and get up high off the ground, and it's like, oh, he's athletic. Like, oh, he almost got that. He didn't almost get nothing. He was late. His processing speed is not as bad as James Wiseman's was, but it's not where it needs to be. Because if it was, he'd be getting a lot more blocks. Because he is athletic, he can cover ground mobility-wise and cover ground, but he's late on a lot of block attempts. So he's not a rim protector at all, even though he's athletic, even though he has the wingspan, the hopping, the jumping ability. He's not a rim protector. Offensively, he can't make a shot unless it's a dunk. If it's a layup, he's smoking it easily. He's smoking it every time. He can't use his right hand. His right hand is basically doesn't exist. He can't use it. He doesn't even try it. If he's going up on his right side, he'll bring it back to his left every time. So against teams that scout that, it's a wrap. So if he's not dunking the ball, he's not making it. He can't hit free throws. It's just a lot of holes in his game. It's hard to expect anything from young center. Here's the thing, man. TJD is going to be 25 years old next season. He played, 4 years in college, and he just finished his second season in the league. I mean, it's hard to classify him as a young center. He's going to be 25 years old. That's a grown man. At that point, you're kind of getting towards you are what you are. Now let's see how he does in his third season, because I do believe in sophomore slumps. Maybe he just had a sophomore slump in his next season. He's gonna bounce back, but let's not pretend like he's like a young buck. He's definitely not. In terms of Quentin Post got played off the court against the T-Wolves. He couldn't hit a shot all playoffs. Defensively, he got targeted. He struggled to translate his 3-point shooting in the playoffs. Some of it looked like nerves just based off how badly he was missing. A lot of it was probably just tired legs because more of him was demanded defensively, covering ground offensively, trying to hold up on switches against guards, quicker wings. He exerted a lot more energy, and maybe his legs are just cooked for his shot. And you combine that with nerves, first playoffs for a rookie. his shot wasn't there. You will hope next season, after an off season of putting in work, working on his game, having the experience, that he'll come back next season and he'll be more consistent in the playoffs in a playoff setting. So I'm high on Post. I think Post has room to improve. The fact that Quinton Post got better in season and actually improved in season. He went from playing in the G League to getting called up. He played a few games, looked kind of shaky, but improved. Like every week, every month, he was improving and got better and better and better. I think that's a sign that he's a pretty smart young dude. He learns quickly. He catches on fast, and although he has physical limitations that he'll never be able to overcome in terms of just like his lateral quickness, his athleticism, in terms of his IQ, he's a really smart player. And I think at some point he will grow to be a good positional defender. And when you combine that with his three-point shooting and his ability to make the right play and pass the ball, and I think he's going to be very solid going forward. And I'm delighted that they found him, and he's a perfect complement next to Draymond. I wouldn't say perfect. If he was more of a two-way center, that would be the perfect complement. But the fact that he can space the floor as a 7-footer that can hold up and fight and scrap for rebounds, that's a good sign. Because when the Warriors needed some size against Steven Adams in the Rockets series, and they put Quinton Post out there fighting, bro. He got muscled out the way a few times by Steven Adams. Steven Adams does that to everybody. It's not just Quinton Post, but he held up very, very good. He was controlling the rebounds. The rebound margin, the second half of the series wasn't that bad because Quinton Post was manning up, and he showed something. All right. Let's talk about the options, the center options. And then we'll get to Giannis. But the center options real quick, let's run through them. I seen somebody bring up Jared Allen. I just seen Jared Allen get bullied by Miles Turner in that Cavs Pacers series. I'm cool off Jared Allen. He looks a little soft. He got bullied last playoffs too. He got bullied. I forgot who they played against, but I remember him getting bullied there too. So he's one of those dudes. You know, he's a solid guy to get you through the regular season, but as the playoffs come around, you play him less and less and less. He's a little soft. I'm cool off Jared Allen. I'm not giving him no assets for him. I'm cool off that. Somebody mentioned Steven Adams. I would love to have Steven Adams. He'll be a great presence for the Warriors, stabilizer. Just somebody that has to be accounted for. Like his offensive game, he's not a finisher or anything like that. His offensive game is offensive rebounding. Now his contribution offensively doesn't show up on a stat. It doesn't like show up on a stat sheet the way you would think. What he brings to an offense is his offensive rebounding and earning extra possessions for his team, which helps the offense overall. Imagine Steven Adams on the Warriors just getting 5, 6, 7 offensive rebounds and kicking out to Steph. And there's more opportunities for Steph to get a 3 up. There's more opportunities for Buddy Hield. That helps the offense. All it does is show up as an offensive rebound for Steven Adams, so you don't really contribute that to his offense because you look at his scoring. He might have like 2, 3 points, 4, 5 points, and you're like, oh, he's not an offensive threat. But just the fact that he has to be accounted for makes him an offensive threat. Like Steven Adams was terrorizing the Warriors. The dude would walk in the paint, drop his anchor, and he was immovable. The Warriors couldn't like route him out the paint. And that's gravity. That's a different form of gravity, but that's gravity in his own way. Because the Warriors had to commit like 2, 3 dudes to box him out and tap the ball away from him just to secure the rebound. So that opens up opportunities for other teammates to, number one, crash the boards, and number two, to attack on long rebounds. If they come up with it, guys are out of position defensively because they're all worried about Steven Adams. Or dudes wouldn't contest the driver because they're so worried about Steven Adams getting an offensive rebound. It's stuff like that to where it doesn't. On top of that, he's also a really good screener. Steven Adams setting screens for Steph would be crazy. he erases defenders out of the play. Like, you're not running through Steven Adams' chest to get through a screen. It's not happening. That's a big dude, bro. That's a big Islander. It's a big dude, man. You ain't getting through him. He set some really physical screens. So he would help the Warriors offense in a lot of ways. And then defensively, he's stout. You saw him. He was jumping out of off of springs to get some of those blocks. This is the most athletic I've seen Steven Adams since his OKC years, earlier in his career when he was like a younger dude. So he still got some juice defensively. He would help the offense. He would be great. I just don't think the Warriors can get him. I don't see why the Rockets would let him go. Whatever the Warriors can offer Steven Adams, the Rockets can match that offer and give him more because they have his bird rights. And since he's in Houston, they don't have income tax. So that makes a difference in terms of his contract because that means there's less money taken out of his contract. So even if the Warriors and Rockets offer the same contract, he technically would make more by playing for the Rockets because it's in Houston. There's no income tax, bigger paycheck. So Steven Adams would be a great scenario, but I just don't see the Warriors outbidding the Rockets. They wouldn't. If the Rockets got wind that Steven Adams was about to sign with the Warriors, they would just up their offer. And I just don't see them outbidding the Rockets. They can't outbid the Rockets. Somebody said Miles Turner. Miles Turner ain't going nowhere, bro. Y'all gotta let the Miles Turner dream go. The Pacers are in the Eastern Conference Finals. They might go to the finals. Miles Turner is instrumental to what they do. Defensively, he's a rim protector and shot blocker next to Siakam while also being a floor spacer for Siakam. The Siakam-Miles Turner frontcourt you're not going to find a better fit next to Siakam than Miles Turner. You got a dude that can cover up for Siakam defensively and be a rim protector, and he's also like a 40% three-point shooter. Dude, Miles Turner shooting like 40% from three. He's not available. Warriors fans, I know it's the perfect dream, and when everybody wants Miles Turner, why would the Pacers let Miles Turner walk? They're in the Eastern Conference Finals. Do you think they're going to let their third most important player just walk for nothing? On top of that, the Warriors can't even afford him. He's going to get paid on his next contract like $30 million. The Warriors can't afford him. There's no scenario where the Warriors have Miles Turner. It's just not going to happen. Brook Lopez. I think Brook Lopez is the most realistic option for the Warriors. He's going to be a free agent. And the fact that he's 38 years old, on top of on top of the Milwaukee Bucks financial situation with Giannis, they're probably gonna let him walk. They don't want to be locked into like paying him. They got to pay Dame just towards Achilles. They're locked into paying Dame for the foreseeable future. They don't want to also have to like commit to 38-year-old Brook Lopez and pay him into his 40s. They don't want to do that. So they might let Brook Lopez walk. And that might be the perfect opportunity for the Warriors to hop on that. There's been a report that the Warriors are actually indeed interested in Brook Lopez, and he's a name to watch for the Warriors. So once free agency starts, I expect the Warriors to be in Brook Lopez's ear immediately and try to convince him to come to the Warriors. Now, Brook Lopez is older. He's not as good of a player as he was a few years ago. But he's 7 feet tall. He's a shooter, like a legit shooter. He can shoot. He can pull up a few feet behind the line. He's a legit floor spacer. And if you put, he's not as good defensively as he used to be. But if you put him next to Draymond Green, here's the thing. Everybody's down on Brook Lopez because he's older and he's not as good defensively. But if you put him next to Draymond Green and Jimmy Butler, so you got Draymond and Jimmy Butler roaming around, playing a free safety defense, the back line, the help defense, doing all that stuff. And all Brook Lopez has to do is protect the rim. You don't got to move your feet too much. Just protect the rim. Brook Lopez is one of the best verticality defenders in the league, of all time, in terms of just going straight up and forcing defenders to just finish over your length. Brook Lopez has been one of the best of the past decade, at least. He's a huge dude. He's in terms of defensively, he's extremely smart and intelligent. He's been in the league forever. He knows every defensive scheme. You can put him in you can't put him in any defensive scheme. He has the physical limitations. You can't just have him out there switching on guards. He's gonna get cooked. But schematically, if you put him next to Draymond and Jimmy in this Warriors defensive ecosystem, it's it's nuts, bro. Like it's nuts. Like he's not. I don't think he's as good of a pure shooter as Quentin Post is, but he's more reliable defensively. He's more smarter. Has way more experience. He's won a championship with the Bucks. He's been in the league for like 17 years. Just all the experience you can ask for. He has the size. He can shoot. Teams can't leave him open. Brook Lopez would be awesome, bro. Like on this Warriors team, yeah, I get it. It's the retirement home geezers. They got Steph, Jimmy, Draymond, and Brook Lopez. All them dudes are all 36 and up and higher. I get it. But Brook Lopez as a starting center, and then you got Quentin Post off the bench as the young legs, and then hopefully you got like another center that can provide some athleticism and some athleticism. That would be a great situation for the Warriors. You know what I'm saying? The Warriors don't need Brook Lopez to be what he was like 5 years ago. They just need him to hit open shots and just protect the rim with verticality and force players to finish over his length. Walker Kessler is not available. You're not getting Walker Kessler unless you give Danny Ainge your entire everything you have. You can't do business with Danny Ainge, bro. That dude's unserious. Iggy dunked the ball, broke his wrist, and retired. Oh man. Is it possible to get Sabonis if we trade Kuminga, Moody, and also first round picks? No, it's not. Sabonis gets paid a lot of money. On top of that, I wouldn't even want Sabonis. He's soft, man. He got outplayed by Looney in that series against the Kings. He literally got outplayed by Looney, and they're paying Sabonis like what, $40 million? You're paying Sabonis $40 million a year to get outplayed by Looney. I don't want no parts of Sabonis, man. He's soft. He's getting paid way too much. It's no way. Another name that the Warriors are supposedly going to look at is Luke Cornett. Luke Cornett from the Celtics. So the Celtics are going through a phase where their team is way too expensive. They can't pay that much for a team that didn't win a championship. Jason Tatum just tore his Achilles, so he's going to be out all the next season. They're going to try to cut some costs because their payroll is insane. So Luke Cornett is not a flashy name, but he's a serviceable rotation big. He's kind of like a dude that's kind of like, he's like a Zaza Pachulia, but he's like 7'2". Like he's big. Like he's long. He's big. He's like a 7'2" Zaza. Smart player, just like a, you know, like a cog piece. He's not like some game changer, but you have a 7'2" vet out there who's smart, makes the right plays. He might be a name they look at. I mean, he's a Luke Cornett's an upgrade over TJD for sure. I'd rather have Luke Cornett over TJD for sure. Let's see. Sabonis is a great rebounder. Yes, Sabonis is a good rebounder, but the Warriors have been like one of the top rebounding teams the past 3 seasons. That's not necessarily an area of need to where they're gonna pay Sabonis that much money to improve your rebounding when that's not necessarily what the Warriors need. They need more size up front, yeah, but that's more so to keep Draymond from playing center and preserve his body more so he can be more slotted into like the role where he's best suited. They don't need to pay Sabonis $40 million to be a rebounder. That's not what they need. That's just a bad allocation of resources because you're paying Steph $60 million, you're paying Jimmy Butler $60 million. You're then gonna pay Sabonis $40 million to be soft in the playoffs and get bullied. Nah, bro. What have the Kings done since they made that trade? Since they traded Halliburton for Sabonis, what have the Kings done? They lost their only playoff series they played against the Warriors. They won one playing game. That's all they got to show for this Sabonis trade. He's not that good. He stuffs the stat sheet in the regular season, but once teams start game planning for him and taking stuff away, He looks very uncomfortable. He's not that good. Gogo Batase would be a good pickup. I like Goga. I like Goga. Solid player, bargain player. I'm not sure how much. I'm not sure how much he's getting paid. I think it's like something cheap. I think Gogo will be a good pickup. I think he's better than Luke Cornett. He'd be solid. He gives them size, some rebounding, some toughness in the front court. I don't think he's like the savior, but he'd be all right. What's up, Corn? I see you, brother. I just talked about Luke Cornett like 5 minutes ago before you got in here. Al Horford. Yeah, I mean, Al Horford might retire. I think his contract's up and he's pushing 40. He might retire, but if he doesn't, honestly, I would take Al Horford. I know some people are just like, nah, man, he's old, he's done, he's washed. He ain't. I mean, he's washed compared to like what he was like 4 years ago, but like he's still a really good player in terms of like a center. He can still hit open shot. He surprisingly can still move his feet decently well for a guy his age. So he can, and he has the experience to play in any defensive scheme. You put a guy next to Draymond who can spread the floor, who can make the pass, who can box out, who can hold up in defensive schemes, who's really smart. He'll be a solid piece. I think he'll be an upgrade over Looney and TJD. He's not going to be the savior, but an Al Horford, Draymond Green front court will be pretty decent. I'm doing well, Kern. Good to see you, brother. Is there any Robert Williams? I'm cool off Robert Williams, bro. That dude is his knees, his lower body, bro. It's always an injury, man. I'm cool off Robert Williams. With this team, with these older players, we can't. If you're gonna trade for a dude, that dude can't just be injury prone. Where it's basically like a crapshoot, Russian roulette, whether he's gonna be available for you. You can't do it. Clint Capella. Clint Capella is decent. I don't know what his. I don't think the Warriors can afford him though. Clint Capella will be decent, but I just don't think the Warriors can afford him. But if they could, I think he would be an okay pickup. He can rebound. He can catch some lobs. He's a better version of TJD, basically. So how much are you willing to pay for a better version of TJD? Porzingis is another name. Porzingis is interesting. Obviously, floor spacer. He's 7'3". He has the length. He'd be great next to Draymond. They complement each other perfectly. He would be a great third option behind Steph and Jimmy. But I don't know, man. Porzingis is a little risky, bro. He just had this this mystery illness or virus that basically zapped his lungs. He couldn't breathe. He was just a shell of himself during his playoff run. I don't know what that is, and on top of that, he's always injured. It's risky. It's one of those trades or one of those moves to where it can if it works out, the Warriors look like geniuses. But if it doesn't, you're cooked. You expended your last few resources on Porzingis. He's not available, and now you're cooked. So the idea of Porzingis is interesting. I'm just not sure if that's going to realistically be exactly what the Warriors are interested in doing. Daniel Gafford. Daniel Gafford will be interesting. Vertical threat, size. He can rebound a little bit, get some blocks. I think Gafford. I would like Gafford. It just depends on how much he costs. Between Gafford and Capella, who do y'all think is better, Gafford or Capella? Trade JK for Tormani Kamara. The Blazers would decline that phone call. They would laugh you off the phone. They're not trading Kamara. He just made all NBA first or second team, all defense second team, and he's still on a rookie contract. You don't got to pay him for a few more years. They're not trading him, bro. If you try to offer the Blazers Kuminga for Kamara, they will literally laugh you off the phone. Looks like y'all think Gafford's better than Capella. That might be true. And Gafford is younger for sure. Wendell Carter Jr. Wendell Carter Jr. would be a good fit. I'm just not sure if he's available. He's only getting paid like 13 mil, so he's a bargain. I think he might be due for another contract soon. It would be interesting what it would cost to get him though, because he's exactly what the Magic need. The Magic need 3-point shooters, and Wendell Carter Jr.'s. I mean, I know his 3-point percentage kind of fluctuates from season to season, but overall, generally, he's a pretty solid 3-point shooter for a big man. So I don't see why they would trade a 3-point shooting center when they don't have much shooting. Oh, my battery is dying, man. Oof. Sorry, fellas. Let's get to Giannis before my battery dies. My camera's about to die. Let's talk about Giannis. We'll wrap it up with Giannis. So Giannis is obviously the dream scenario. The dream scenario is Giannis. The Warriors would definitely be in the mix for Giannis if he was interested. Giannis had a Q&A the other day. Folks asked him a bunch of questions. Basically, just to run through some of the questions they asked him. Somebody asked Giannis who's the greatest point guards are of all time. His answer was Magic Johnson, Steph Curry, and Isaiah Thomas. So that just goes to show how highly he thinks of Steph. Somebody asked him who's the funnest player that he likes to use on 2K. Giannis said Kobe or Steph. So he likes to play with Steph. He likes his play style. He likes to play with him in a video game in 2K. And then somebody asked him who the greatest shooter was, and he said Steph. He threw Dame in there too, just because Dame is his teammate. He didn't want to but he said the best shooter is Steph. So obviously, Giannis thinks very highly of Steph. He mentioned him like 3 different times in a Q&A. We saw Steph and Giannis at the All-Star game. They were very friendly. Steph had to oop to Giannis. He's a Giannis fan, man. I mean, he's a Steph fan for sure. But it's so many hurdles that needs to be crossed. Number one, the Warriors cannot win an outright bidding war for Giannis. They cannot win a bidding war. There's at least 5 teams that can outbid them. The Houston Rockets can offer Sengun, any combination of Sengun, Amin Thompson, Jalen Green, Jabari Smith, and then they got twice as many first-round picks as us, way more valuable. You got the Spurs with a chance to pair Giannis with Wembanyama. They got twice as many picks as us. Other young dudes, they got Stephon Castle. They got the second overall pick this season. They got, who else they got? They got Sohan. They got Vassell. They got, all these teams can outbid the Warriors. So the Warriors can't win an outright bidding war. Their only hope is for Giannis to basically request a trade specifically to the Warriors and hope that the Milwaukee Bucks honor his request based off him winning the championship for their franchise and everything he's done for them. Hopefully he has bought himself enough goodwill with the franchise for them to honor his request. That's the only way Giannis is coming to the Bay. The only way. If Giannis has a short list of teams where he's like, okay, I'm cool with any of these three teams, the Warriors are probably going to get outbid and they're not going to get him. They have to hope that him wanting to play with Steph is good enough, is strong enough to where he says, I only want to play for the Warriors, honor my request, trade me to the Warriors. And then you have to then hope that the Bucks are willing to acquiesce to that trade demand and give him what he wants. So a lot has to play right for the Warriors to even be in a conversation. So that's that. And then on top of that, if a trade was to happen, I think Jimmy Butler has to be in any trade scenario because Steph's making $60 million, Jimmy Butler's making $60 million, and Giannis is making $60 million. You can't have 3 players on the roster making $60 million. You just can't. So I think Jimmy Butler has to be in that trade. And obviously, if that's the situation, I'm packing Jimmy Butler's bags myself. To be honest with you, I'll pack his bags myself. It is what it is. To pair Steph with Giannis is the dream scenario. The league would be in shambles. They would run the league. They would absolutely destroy the league. You got Steph dominating from the perimeter. You got Giannis dominating the paint. If teams try to load up on Steph on the perimeter and try to blitz him and bring the traps, Giannis is the outlet for Steph in the pick and roll, getting downhill with an advantage. He's dunking on everybody's head. He's going for 50. Teams can't do that. If teams try to adjust and and allocate some of those defensive resources to build on the wall to keep Giannis out of the paint, that just frees it up for Steph on the perimeter to just cook teams from the perimeter. So you got to pick your poison. It would be just the most destructive two-man duel in NBA history, in my opinion. Even at Steph's age, they would be unstoppable. Absolutely unstoppable. Yeah. Let's see what else I was going to talk about. So yeah, man, that's the Giannis situation. I would love to have Giannis. Obviously, if Giannis even has any indication that he's interested in coming to the Warriors got to do what they got to do. If they got to trade everybody for Giannis, I'm doing it. If the Bucks say, yo, all right, we will trade you Giannis, but we want everything. Pods, Moody, TJD, Quinton Post, every draft pick y'all got. If the trade is everybody for Giannis and then you got to throw in Jimmy Butler too to make the salaries match, I'm doing it. Give me Steph and Giannis on the same team, and then we'll figure out the rest. Vets are gonna line up to play for this team because they're gonna look at the open shots they're gonna get. You got Steph Curry, who gets triple teamed every night. Then you got Giannis, who draws the most attention at the rim. If you're a role player trying to get paid or a role player trying to like win a championship, bro, you're lining up to play for the Warriors. So give me Steph and Giannis, and we'll figure everything else out. I would trade every fathomable asset we have to make that happen. I'm doing it. I'm all in. Rather the Warriors go for depth. Man, fellas, people, folks, this is the same conversation that happened with KD. It was Warriors fans that said instead of trading for KD, they'd rather, because they didn't want to give up the depth. They didn't want to give up Harrison Barnes and Andrew Bogut. And they were like, nah, let's just keep our depth. We got this great bench, all this stuff. Bro, if you can get a top 5 player, top 3 player, an MVP caliber player, a generational player, a player whose talent level only comes around literally once every like 15, 20 years type of stuff. Giannis is an all-time player, bro. And he's only 30 years old. He's going to be dominant for at least another 3-4 years. If you have an opportunity to acquire that player and match him with another generational player, you do that and you figure the rest out later. I don't care about no depth. Like, who cares about depth, man? You got Giannis and Steph on the same team. Who cares? I don't want no damn depth. I don't want to keep no damn, man. Fuck depth, bro. Give me Giannis, man. Forget all that. But yeah, that's Giannis. And a few other quick hitters. Somebody mentioned Kobe White. There was a trade scenario floated around by, I think it was Anthony Slater, who said Moses Moody and a first round pick for Kobe White because their contracts match. They both make $13 million. I'll make that trade in a heartbeat. Oh man. Hey y'all, I gotta call it here, brother. My battery's done. I appreciate y'all for coming through, man. I appreciate all y'all for showing love, bro. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Once more news and stuff comes out, I will make another video. But in the meantime, I appreciate y'all, and I'll holler at you on the next one. Peace.